Welcome on into the third episode of Rawhide's Mob, presented by Hatch State Line Toyota and Hatch Ford of Silver City. Today, we will have head golf coach Kent Beatty, head football coach Philip Vigil, and head softball coach Ashley Hickman joining us today. But first, we're going to give a recap of the Mustang events over the weekend. The football team and the volleyball team were both in action over the weekend. The football team came away with an impressive 34-20 win over Adams State to start the season 1-0. Senior Isley Moana is your offensive player of the week. Senior David Melendez is your defensive player of the week. And graduate student Jack Rasmussen and freshman Adrian Zamuto are your co-special teams players of the week. Quarterback Devin Larson went 21 for 31 for 271 yards and 4 touchdowns. Running back Jason Chambers ran for 14 yards. He ran 14 times for 69 yards. David Tejas had 7 catches for 64 yards. Larson's touchdowns were caught by Chambers, Edwin Lacrosse, Vincent Rankin, and Charles Byers. Volleyball went 1-3 in the St. Martin Invitation over the weekend. Yes, the Mustangs were able to beat Westminster College 3-1 in 4 sets for their first victory of the 2022 campaign, but they would drop the other 3 matches in the tournament. And today, we're going to get with our first guest here, head football coach Philip Vigil. So, Coach, how are you feeling after the big win on Saturday?
Ready to go back to work. You know, you can't, that's the beautiful thing about being in season. You get to celebrate for about 6 hours, and then you wake up the next morning and you're back to work. So we've got a really, really good football team that we're going to be facing this week in Central Washington. And so we've got our work cut out for us for sure. But proud of our team, proud of the way they battled on Saturday night. And you know, it wasn't perfect by any means, but we have a lot to grow and a lot to learn. But it's always good to do those things after a win instead of after a loss. So proud of the way they battled, proud of the way they fought Saturday night, and look forward to getting on the road and heading to Seattle here on Thursday. So,
if you had to choose, who would you say was the most impressive that you saw on Saturday? Could be the whole team, could be just a unit, offense, defense, or an individual player?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, I think there was a lot of really good individual performances. You know, I think Devin Larson played really, really well on Saturday. You know, he did have 1 interception, but it went through a receiver's hands on a 3rd and 8. You know, Sam Moala played extremely, extremely well. David Melendez played extremely well. You know, Adrian and Jack both played well. Adrian was his first game. I mean, he's a true freshman and was ice cold out there in his veins. I mean, just every time he went up to his approach was the same and made his kicks. He did what we asked him to do. And then, you know, even the field position battle for us with Jack did a phenomenal job he pinned him down on the 1 once. I mean, he booted the ball. So there were a lot of really good individual performances. You know, I mean, proud of a lot of these guys, to be honest with you. Isley played really well, which is why he got offensive player of the game. Jamon played really well at the tailback position. We had a lot of guys contribute on Saturday, and so excited about the future. We got some things to fix, we got some things to improve on, but I think we've got the guys. I know we've got the guys to be able to get it done.
So it looked like your defense was clicking on all cylinders on Saturday night. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, I think, you know, what we want to do, we want to get after the quarterback, and so I think we've done a really good job in recruiting. You know, to be able to get after the quarterback, you got to have DBs that can cover. And so we went out and got a lot of defensive backs, and a lot of them are really good at man coverage. And if you can play man coverage, why would you play anything else? And so you can commit 6 or 7 guys to the box and getting after the quarterback and play man on everywhere else. And if you can do that, you can cause some problems for some offenses. And so I was really pleased with the way they played, especially early. I think there's some things we need to clean up in the second half, but proud overall of how we performed.
So what would you say this week's motto is then going into the game against Central Washington?
Well, I think you know, the biggest thing for us is watching Central Washington. They're a really well coached team. They're very disciplined. You know, they have great effort on film, and so for us, it's about, you know, we can't go in there and make mistakes. First off, we've got to play really well. But we've got to be able to match their effort. We've got to be able to match their discipline. You know, some things I was disappointed in on Saturday was the personal fouls. You know, we had 3 personal fouls on Saturday, 1 on a 3rd down that gave them a first down. I think they ended up going and scoring on that possession. Excuse me. Then we had another one on a defensive touchdown that got called back. You know, and we should have had 7 points on there, and instead we came away with 3. You know, and you can't do that against a Central Washington and expect to win. And so for us, it's about cleaning up mistakes. It's about playing disciplined football with great effort on Saturday.
All right. So I guess then what's your biggest improvement? What are you looking for the practice then this week to improve on the most?
Yeah, I mean, usually your first week to your second week as a football team is where you see the most improvement. Again, I was pleased with a lot of what we did on Saturday, but we've got to be able to get rid of some of the mental mistakes on offense, mental mistakes on defense. We've got to be able to tackle well. There's just the fundamentals of the game is where you see the biggest improvement from week 1 to week 2, because we can simulate a scrimmage, what it's like to go live, but these guys haven't gone really live in 8 months or whatever it is, in a game situation where you're taking that many reps and things like that. So I'm looking forward to see an improvement in one. I don't want any more mental mistakes. We hurt ourselves sometimes on Saturday with some mental mistakes, just guys not knowing what they needed to do or being slightly out of place or not holding their gap or whatever that looks like. So for us, everything that is correctable is within our control. And so that is exciting. Don't feel like there's a talent deficient or anything like that, where we're like, oh man, we're just completely overmatched. We got to take care of us.
Okay, we'll branch off a little bit from football here. So you have anything to say to Dakota as if why he didn't want to show up today because he was scared of getting made fun of again?
No, Dakota's my guy. He's my guy. Love you, Dakota.
All right, one more question for you today, because I know you're going to go back and watch some film. What's your advice to any incoming freshmen, say, just that have been here for about a month now? What's your advice to them?
In school or in football?
Anything. It could be school, it could be life, it could be football, whatever you want it to be.
Okay, I'm just going to give you our core principles of what we do, all right? And I think these apply to anybody in any field, anywhere. If you do these 3 things, you're going to be successful. First one, be present. So be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, okay? The second thing, be intentional while you're there. So if you're sitting in class, you're intentional, you're taking great notes, you're asking questions, you're locked in, right? And then the last one is be consistent. And you do those 3 things, you're going to be pretty special no matter what you do.
All right, I'd like to thank you for coming on today,
Appreciate
Coach
it.
Vigil. We'll be right back after a quick message from our Mustang Pride partner after this.
No matter what type of vehicle you're looking for, Hatch Toyota State Line, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram of Silver City has the vehicle that will fit you.
Welcome back into Rawhide's Mob, presented by Hatch State Line Toyota in Hatch Ford of Silver City. I'm here with head softball coach Ashley Hickman. Coach Hickman, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So, I guess we'll just get started. How are your new recruits adjusting to Silver City?
Good. Yeah. We brought in a lot of recruits this summer, and over the year we had 15 come in. We returned to 8 from last year's 14 roster team, and so we knew that we needed to bring in a ton and kind of just fill the gaps that we had from last year. And the 15 that we have come in, they play a lot of different positions. They've worked really hard. They've adjusted to having a weight coach. Some of them haven't had a weight coach before, and so we've been able to really just have them excel really quickly in the first few weeks of school.
Okay, so you're getting a new softball field. That has to be exciting. You're going from the dirt and the grass to just full turf. So what are your thoughts on the new softball field that's being in place for you?
Yeah, we're so excited for the new softball field. I think when you can bring in a state-of-the-art facility to any place, and you keep building different things on campus and stuff, you got to know that this is a place to be. We're spending money, we're putting in the right spots and trying to make our efforts of competing in the Lone Star even better than what they have been in the past. And so I think that this is one of those ways that we just bring in better players overall and continue to grow and get better on the field with facilities that we can ultimately improve on and get better. And so the turf's going to help us, having lights is going to help us. 2 batting cages, 2 bullpens, things that like our players need now that they don't have to have me there for too. They can go out and throw at 10 o'clock at night with the lights on, and that's something that we need, just like an indoor facility would do the same thing, and that's going to ultimately improve us.
So, have you been able to get any practices in, I guess, now in the fall a little bit with who you all have?
Yeah, so right now we're in 8 hours a week is kind of what the NCAA gives us. So we have 4 hours of strength and conditioning with Coach Fakema, and then we have 4 hours where we get to be with them as the softball skills work and as their coaches. And so 4 hours, technically 2 is with hitting, and then 2 is with your defensive coach or pitching coach or something like that. So we've been doing that for the past 3 weeks now, and it's been working out really well. We make shift on practice though, so you've probably seen us in Old James Stadium, you've seen us at the high school field, we've been on the football turf. We kind of go wherever we can find a little bit of grass and land to go and adjust and do what we need to do, and I think that honestly helps us overall. It's going to put us in a better position in the spring where we have to fight some adversity and play in different elements and things like that.
Okay, so out of everybody on your team right now, is there anybody you're expecting to make like a big leap in the upcoming season?
Yeah, just overall, I would say everyone's kind of made a big leap so far because of the 8 returners. They've even excelled from last year, with that being my first year, trying to build culture, establish a rhythm, having just a little bit of that kind of like grit and accountability that they needed. They've honestly improved a ton, but we've seen a lot of improvement within our pitching staff from last year to this year. We have 4 new ones come in with 1 returner. We have a whole new catching staff back there, so we've seen a lot of that stuff, and then we've seen some power so far with our hitters that we needed, and these are incoming players and returners that have both just excelled, and I think it honestly has to do with having a consistent strength program. We lifted consistently last year too, but now we have a strength coach, and that's a huge part of it. Another thing that we've been doing consistently is we do mental training, and so every Thursday night we meet with Art Berlinga. He's out of California. Coach Vigil has probably talked about him once or twice.
Yes.
So shout out to Coach B. He's done a great job with our team so far. We meet every Thursday, and he kind of helps out with just that mental side of the game. Softball is definitely more mental than the physical aspect of it, and we're trying to make sure that we stay on top of it with them.
Okay, so when you're going out recruiting, trying to find these girls to come play for you, what's your pitch? Why is WNMU the right place for them? Like, how do you sell it?
Yeah, so once I find the right student athlete, so I look for if I'm just looking at a field and I see a diamond in the rough kind of deal, I attack them in terms of, okay, they have hustle, they can play their position well, they can hit, things like that. I kind of sell the fact that like now we're going to complete you into a whole person with that student athlete experience. You're going to get quality education. You're going to be able to do classes in different environments, right? We have online classes, we have face-to-face, hybrid, things like that, and you're going to be able to really excel in the classroom. But then also, the D2 experience is work-life balance. So us as a college coach and for my staff, we know that we're not just here teaching softball. We're here giving them, how life goes, what they need to do next, how to schedule, how to plan, and I think that that's the overall thing. Is my goal is to help create student athletes, female student athletes that are so confident and they can go out into the world and be whatever they want to be, whatever they want to do, and that includes, being a doctor, being a lawyer, being a stay-at-home mom. I want you to have the most confidence, and I think that this right here in this program is what's going to do it.
So coming from that, what type of culture are you trying to then build with this team?
Yeah, culture-wise, we have a few different things that we really value a lot, and that is, celebrating everything. Wins, whatever it might be, the small stuff, we celebrate a lot of stuff. We have a good time. Softball's fun. That's what I always tell them. Like, it's fun. If you don't make it fun, then we got to figure out how to make it fun for you, and that's a huge part of it. So we celebrate a lot of stuff. We also, have a lot of grit, and we work hard, and we try to make sure that when we're out there, we're really focused in on what we're doing, what we're attacking, what our focus is, being efficient and effective on the field. I don't want extra steps when they go to field. I don't want them to round a base differently. I want it to be kind of crisp and clean around the board. And so we really focus in on that efficiency, effectiveness, and the grit of that. And, just being accountable in yourself, accountable with who you're around, making sure that you show up with a good attitude and you're ready to attack the day. And I think that when you can kind of do those small stuff like that, you're going to do what the greats do, and that's what we want to do.
Okay. So when you were hired, you had just had a baby, is that correct?
That is, yes. We just had Bear about 2 weeks before.
So what was it like then moving across the country and accepting a job just after having, Bear?
Yeah, so this is actually my second time that I have had a kid and moved more than 9 hours or so away, within the 2 months of having the baby. And so, it's one of those things where you do it, you coach and you work hard and you do it for your kids and you want them to see success and what it's like to be around people and stuff. And so we've had such a great support system since we've been here too. My husband coaches on the football team, so we have, a lot of the football wives that have helped out, the other coaches there. And we've also had just a ton of great coaches in our athletic department and the admin too. Whether it's been holding Bear when he was tiny, now he runs around and sprints everywhere so you can't catch him. But that's the biggest thing about being in athletics is just having that family-friendly atmosphere and getting help when you need it too. That's been huge. We've been able to have people that, Coach Vigil found us a house before we got here, and so that was nice because we didn't have a place to live, and so that was great. But we've definitely, been able to have a lot of people in our side and in our corner and help us in that transition of having a baby to moving here to finding child support and everything like that. And that's huge. I think that honestly, I hope that our players see that kind of stuff and they see, that kind of anything's possible and that you can do anything that you just put your mind to.
So kind of branching, I guess, off of that, since you're married to Coach Hickman on the football team, how do you guys balance that then?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. We're still trying to figure that out. But a lot, right now, we focus in on softball in the fall too, but right now in our household, it's football season. And then in the spring, it's softball season. And we both know that and we work with each other really well. I think that's a huge part of, marriage in general is you're a team. If one person's in season, they kind of take care of the house a little bit more than the other. If one person's in season, you're taking them to daycare and to whatever activities they got and things like that. And so I think that, Coach Hickman and I, we really balance each other out in that kind of atmosphere is we know what we want in our lives. We know what we want for our children and where we want to go. And that's huge for us is that. And then we also have, that means our kids have 100 some brothers and 25 sisters kind of deal, running around with them and teaching them things and having fun, and they get a good life too.
Yeah, that sounds fun. So then do you have any advice for somebody that's thinking about going into coaching, maybe just like you just had a child or is married to another coach but also wants to coach? Do you have any advice for somebody like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of advice out there, I guess, for this, but I think patience is key with it too. Knowing that you're gonna maybe move across country every now and then, and that's not something that maybe you've thought about, but it's something that could potentially happen, and so you've got to be prepared for that. I think and that's a huge part of it. But then, for females that are trying to get into coaching that maybe have a family or maybe they are working towards that or whatever it might be in your lane and what you're trying to do in life, just work hard, do whatever you need to do to be able to make that happen. Whether it's, have your student athletes babysit for you, it's, having a color-coded schedule. That's, you ask my players, that's my biggest thing is we have schedules out the wazoo and they are color coordinated and all my players know where to be and what to do and stuff like that. And so, we schedule out a ton of stuff and make that work. And, another thing is you're going to work in an environment with a ton of males, and you're sometimes going to feel like, oh wow, they're at work all the time and I can't always be, and you can't feel that way. You got to just keep going. You got to keep working hard and doing what you can. And there's a lot of great female coaches in softball. I bet there's a lot in basketball and volleyball too, but in softball in general, the mentors I have or that I talk to are moms. They've done this, they've been through it, and I've kind of had to watch them and see what they do. And sometimes that doesn't work for you, but when you try stuff out and you make it work, it's good. And so you just got to keep working hard and pushing yourself through some of those days that you feel like you just can't keep going.
All right, I got last question here for you today. So if you're talking to somebody that's visiting Silver City before they leave, what's something that they have to do while they're here?
Ooh, it's a good one. I know that there's a lot of talk about nature here, and we do have a ton of coffee shops and things like that. I'm kind of like a big foodie. I like to try new food and go out and eat and things like that. So we have a lot of really good restaurants. Whether you're looking for good breakfast, we love I hope this isn't a sponsorship thing, but we love Adobe Springs breakfast. The Buckhorn has good steaks. You'll see me and my friends at Jalisco celebrating birthdays. So we have a lot of good restaurants here in town that you can kind of just go and hang out and have a good time.
All right, thank you for hanging with me today on the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
So we'll be right back after this quick message from our Mustang Pride partner.
If you've ever got a hankering for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, why don't you stop on down by Denny's, as we're open 24/7, and not to mention, it's Rawhide's favorite place to eat, Denny's.
Welcome back into Rawhide's Mob. I'm joined by head golf coach Kent Beatty and his graduate assistant, Harry O'Callaghan. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great, Jake. Thank you.
I'm good, thank you, mate. Thanks for having us on.
So what are you guys most excited about for the upcoming season? It doesn't matter who answers, either one of you.
Well, we have a good, as far I coach both men and women, so it's always a little bit different dynamic with those teams. The men's team we're looking at with a lot of promise. We have really the core team that was back from last year, and we've added a freshman or two that's really going to help us. Generally, with the women's team, we have it's much smaller. We have like 9 men. And then the women's team, smaller, we have 5. So we've added 1 freshman from that team. So looking for just general improvement from the present players for the women, and looking to make a pretty decent mark with the men as well.
Harry, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say that it's just a very excitable group, I would say. So like Coach said, we've got all the guys back from last year, and we've got 4 returners on the women's side. And we've made some brilliant recruits for both teams, who I really think are already making a profound impact and will continue to do so. The guys are excited for the first tournament. They know that the schedule's stacked. They know we're going to play some brilliant fields, and there's early belief that they know they're going to contend all year round. So I'm just excited to get started here in a couple of weeks in Sonoma State at the regional preview, and we'll kick on from there.
So Harry, did you play anywhere in college then?
Yeah, I played 4 years here for Western, 4 of the best years of my life, and was delighted when Coach asked me to be the latest to stick around and complete a master's degree and help him, primarily on the men's side, but especially pre-season as we are right now. I will help coach the ladies team with Jeff and Coach, and it's just been brilliant. This is the start of my 2nd year, ready to just make the most of it.
So, if I'm not mistaken, you guys have a women's event coming up this weekend,
right? The girls are headed out on Wednesday for a quick trip to Amarillo, if that's a thing that's possible. So we're playing. Girls are playing 36 holes on Friday and 18 holes on Saturday. Then we'll come back, and Harry and I will load up the bus Sunday morning and head over to Safford, Arizona for a little scrimmage with Eastern Arizona College for the men.
So I guess, what are your guys' expectations for the women's and the men's?
Well, the women's team, the Lone Star Conference in women's golf is stacked. I mean, lots and lots of well-funded, well-coached teams for the ladies. This first tournament's not as big because it was moved, to an earlier date. But traditionally, the girls have played quite well. We just got through, essentially 3 weeks of qualifying over the weekends for the girls. So we've really had some good scores, and I'm proud of the progress. We're only going to be able to play 4 this week with the girls instead of 5, as one of our girls, Shondine Harper, is still recovering from a little surgery, and we're not really, I don't feel comfortable about using her this early when the rest of the season's on the way.
Okay, so you bring in recruits from all around the world, correct?
Yeah, it's golf sort of that way. If you're in Harry's case, he's from the UK, and we get a lot of players. Over the years, we've had a lot of players from the UK, but on the team now we have Canadian and a kid from Korea and a kid from Sweden, and it's just it's their dream. High school golf in the United States is normal. It's not a situation that is out of the ordinary, but if you're one of these guys from another country and you're looking at college golf, and they don't particularly have high school sports, so this is truly a dream for them, and a lot of times it's cold weather countries, and Harry could explain what it feels like whenever you're 15 years old and wanting to come to another country to play golf. But it's been unique, and it's been a successful thing for us because the kids are great students, and they just want to go somewhere that's warm.
You care to elaborate on that at all, Harry?
Yeah, so America is really the only place where college sport exists, so you can truly pursue a bachelor's degree or a master's degree and compete at a really high level. So it's, like I say, it's the only place you can come and do it, and it's allowed. So you miss lectures, and the professors will work with you to help you catch up. You'll have the opportunity to travel around the country. I've been to, I think, 10 states myself to compete. Like I say, it's just truly not offered anywhere, and Coach is right, it's a dream come true for us when we get here. We're just all in the same boat, we're all a long way from home, we've all got similar motivations. For us, it's the first time we've been on such a team where we've all got a similar goal in mind, because like he says, we don't have high school golf, so it's a whole new experience that you immerse yourself in 24/7, and the time flies by, and it's just a brilliant ride. It's so much fun, and I can't recommend it enough to anyone out there who might be listening, and I know that the guys on the team that Coach has mentioned there would support me in that.
So can I ask you what states you've been to then, the other 10?
Yeah, Coach has he's helped us out, man. We've played in Washington, California, Utah, Florida. I didn't play in Hawaii, but I went to coach in Hawaii last fall. A lot of golf in Texas and Arizona. We've played obviously here in New Mexico, Colorado, not to forget. So all over the country, and long may it continue. I know these guys are excited to do another year on the road, and Coach and I are excited to watch them compete.
You got a favorite state then out of those that you named that you've been to?
It's hard to beat Arizona for me. I like the hot weather. You don't get too much wind. The golf courses are pristine. So I would probably say Arizona. Although, having said that, like I said, I didn't play. Hawaii is beautiful. I had a lot of fun out there. I was coaching in some sliders. Didn't need any socks and shoes. Right by the beach, black sand. It was just out of this world. It was really cool. And they finished second. So of course, when you play well, that makes everything sweeter.
Yeah, that always makes everything better. I was just in Hawaii in March for my first time ever. It was my dad's retirement trip, so I know exactly what you're talking about. It was one of the best experiences of my life, was just being there.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I can't say though I've never been to Arizona, so.
No, you're missing out.
It's 30 miles down the road. Just hop in the car.
Well, yeah, I got a buddy from high school that actually moved to Arizona. He lives in Tucson, so I'm hoping when Dakota ever gives me a break that I can go visit him just for a weekend or something.
Hey, we're going Sunday. We'll just slide you in the back of the bus.
Yeah, works for me.
You can come and caddy.
I'm fine with that. My sister's boyfriend he goes to Penn State University. He is on a full scholarship for being a caddy.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, they have professional golf management there, I think.
Yep, they do.
One of the best programs in the country.
Yeah, he's not actually going there for that. It's just there's a country club by where I'm from, and all he had to write about a 20-page scholarship essay, and they awarded him with a caddy scholarship, and all he has to do is pay for the house he lives in, which is this old frat house with all the other caddies.
Fantastic.
I might need his contact details.
He's a real golf nut. I mean, was never good enough to play in college, but I'd say he's still pretty decent. So, what do you want this team's identity and culture to be for this upcoming season then?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it maybe sounds cliche, but I found the successful formula in recruiting players is, I'm going to recruit strong students first. We're not, Western New Mexico is not going to be able to get, essentially blue chip players as freshmen there to come in. It's a small school, it's a small town. Golfers tend to be more affluent. They've seen more of the, of the world. So we sort of have to have developed our players over a 4-year period of time. Lots and lots of our players have come on walk-on status as academic players, and then they've evolved to from various different levels up to tour quality levels. So I strive for for other people to think that, hey, Western New Mexico is competitive every year. Their kids are smart, they're polite, they're great competitors, and that's really all you can ask for. If you're well respected amongst the conference teams and the regional teams, this is a team that we have to beat yearly, then I'm quite happy with that.
You got anything to add here?
If you're talking about the culture, I think Coach is quite big on making it sort of like an informal family. So like I said, we do typically have kids from all around the world. I was one myself, and it helps to have that feeling of, just like on the men's side of things, I would say a brotherhood. I'm looking at we've got two seniors, and 3 juniors this year that know what it takes now to be on our Mustang program. They've witnessed seniors and juniors before them that have helped raise them and helped develop them into young men, as opposed to the boys that they come in as, or that we come in as. And I know that the guys leading our team now are doing a great job of that this year. They're excellent on the golf course. They set an example in the classroom. They're generally just great people to be around. I think a lot of that comes down to Coach and the care that he puts into his program. And it's my job to assist him with that. But for the most part, they make our job pretty easy. He does a great job of recruiting, and they're fantastic people when they come in, and we just get the pleasure of fine-tuning them and making them ready for the real world. But I would say it's just a brotherhood. I want them out there fighting for each other, for themselves. Never say die attitude. It could be windy, it could be raining. The Mustangs will be out there smiling, saying bring it on, and we're ready to play. So they'll be very, very competitive this year. We've got lofty goals for them, and I'm confident that they'll be able to achieve it.
All right, so Harry, this is kind of for you. What do you miss from home? What is something from home that you wish was here?
My family. I said it's strange. I would say the people a lot more than the place. I've been home, fortunate to be home plenty of times, and things change, but not too much. But you can't replace some of the people. So I would say my immediate family and certain friends. That said, it's made, like I say, referring back to what I've spoken, it's made a lot easier by having someone like Coach, and some of the guys that I've been on teams with, and some of the guys that I'm coaching now, and people in the community. I've always felt welcomed, I've always felt looked after, I've always had the resources through Western and through athletics to feel safe and to feel wanted and to feel included. So I would just say the people, to be honest. I don't really miss much of the food. I think America wins that race. I don't miss the weather, obviously, not one bit. And yeah, it's just the people there.
So this is just out of my curiosity. How much snow do you guys get up in the UK?
Not as much as when I was a kid. I think, not to get off topic, but global warming is pretty real. So we're getting hotter summers, and it seems like warmer winters over there in England. Growing up, we would always be able to go sledding or sledging. You wouldn't understand sledging. I had to say the American word. So enough to go sledging every year. Might get some snow typically in December, January. I remember one year near my birthday in April, somehow we had a bit of snow, which was kind of weird. But not a lot, not as much as you guys get over here, or here in Silver at 5,000 feet. I've seen more snow here than I have in England.
Yeah, No, I'm excited to see snow here. I come from a place that is top 3 snowiest places in the United States.
Well, it's good fun for about a week,
So-
but I'm a golfer. Now that we've got our wonderful indoor facility, I'm not as worried. But as a golfer, we don't like it when the snow falls.
Yeah. So, Coach, I was informed by Dakota about this, about one of your former players, Callum Hill. He's a professional now, correct?
Yeah, again, a wonderful, successful story for us. He's came as lived down the street from one of the boys that came here that was an All-American, and Callum's dad was speaking with this other boy's father. His name is Scott Crichton, but about playing, and Callum didn't play much junior golf, but was quite a talented player and a superior athlete. So again, that's hard for me to turn down. A good athlete. He shot wonderful scores like as a 14, 15-year-old, but really didn't compete much. So we just took a roll of the dice, and it came up 7s for us. And from the time he got here, he was the best player. Didn't have any idea how to play golf at all, but he could hit the ball, and his evolution showed that he was a very good freshman and a solid sophomore, a super junior, and one of the best players in the country as a senior. Finished second in the NCAA championship as an individual by a shot or two. Went out and qualified for the U.S. Open while he was my graduate assistant, so he's done the same path that Harry's doing now, the whole 6 years in Silver City, and made the cut at the U.S. Open. In fact, he was 11th after day 2 of the U.S. Open, and went out and was fortunate enough to get a sponsorship to play what's called the Challenge Tour over in Europe, which is their second level tour, and then won 2 or 3 events, and then graduated to the European Tour and won an event last year. Unfortunately, Callum has gone through this complicated injury that's very difficult to rehab, so he hasn't played since November, but he expects to be back in November of this year. He was as high as 95th in the world at some point. Very popular, super popular player on the European Tour. The TV loves him. The pros love him, and he's everybody at Western Mexico loves him. I mean, he was just a great and kind, generous, everything that you could ask for a player. So that's quite a story for us, and he will continue to do that as soon as he can shake this injury.
So does he come back from time to time, help you out with the program at all?
He's been here. He didn't play last year, but I think when Harry was a senior, he came to. He surprised us. Of course I knew. He went to San Antonio, and he came in for the Monday and Tuesday to continue as assistant coach. So that was quite a thrill for him to roll out of the comfort suites after having been a multiple winner on the European Tour and give these guys a weekend. That was the last time. He wasn't able to last year because his season was well into the PGA Tour, so he was actually trying to qualify for the postseason events, so he couldn't do that. Then he got injured, but he will be here this fall, and he's going to come over to one of his teammates' weddings here this fall, so I'm sure we'll see him around Western, and maybe you can have him on the podcast.
So Harry, what does it mean to know that you, at least a player like this, was he your teammate at all?
No, my freshman year, Callum was in his second year of being the assistant coach in the role I'm in now.
So I guess then what does it mean that he was at least in your role before you?
Well, I'll be honest with you, we've got different intentions for being in the role, but as a player, it proved that everything was possible. So it's one thing to hear about success stories in the past on a program that you're part of. It's one thing to read about them. It's another thing to meet them and to know them and to see the path that they've taken and have the exact same resources, if not better. Well, certainly now better than what Callum had, and to see what he was able to take from them and do with them. So it was a massive motivation to see what he'd done and to be part of it when it was happening. Like, I don't think people quite understand. I don't really think he's been spoken on enough of his rise to where he is now in the world of golf, because It's just unheard of, really, the speed at which he's gone from politely just, starting out in the professional ranks to, like Coach said, reaching 95th in the world, European tour winner in sort of maybe a 3-year period, give or take, is phenomenal. I can't even give you an analogy of how to, maybe go from Western to the NFL or Western to the NBA in that period of time, that you can start to understand what he's done. But just more the person, if I'm honest with you. He was a fantastic person to be around, obviously set a wonderful example, had all the time in the world for us, brutally honest, which is what Coach asked me to be now with the guys, which I enjoyed, and it was good for me to have someone like that around. And I consider him a very good friend now for the rest of my life, and I'm just proud of him, and I can't wait to watch him beat the US in a Ryder Cup one day soon.
Hey, anything's possible.
Oh, it'll happen.
So Harry, I guess when your time comes to an end here at Western, what are you hoping to do?
That's a question that I almost wish you'd not asked, to be honest. I don't know. It's difficult for me to answer that one right now. I consider myself a bit of a generalist, so I think there's a few different things I could be really quite happy doing. I do seek the advice of people like Coach and my dad and one or two others, my big brother, of what they would sort of do in my position, and I'm not inclined to rush, to be honest. Without giving away too much, I'm very, very excited for this period between now and May. On a personal level, I'm working towards a Masters, but I love what the coaching side brings. I get a lot of fulfilment out of it. I enjoy every practice session, every long drive, every competition, and I really think the boys are going to put on a show this year. So I'm going to enjoy that first and foremost. I have a few different avenues in England that I'm sort of in touch with. One's in like a recruitment role within the world of golf, but I would be lying to say if I wasn't going to try and pursue the coaching side of things, because I knew I'd enjoy it, and obviously that's why I took Coach's offer. But I really feel quite well suited to it, and like I say, the general job satisfaction is massive, and I think that's key. I want to be able to get out of bed most days and know that I'm going to make a difference, know that I'm going to work with a lot of talented individuals in a field that I love, and that's golf. So definitely going to look at trying to pursue a coaching career, and if that can't be a thing now, maybe look at that again in the future, and if not, try and use the business degree that I've got, or the Masters that, touch wood, I will have in May, and pursue a more sort of professional role, so we say in recruitment or in the world of business.
No, I think that's a terrific plan. I mean, I'm 1 year out of college before I came back, so I'm from the eastern side of the U.S., and I took a year off from Penn State, tried to figure out what I wanted to do, and found out that I wanted to work in sports social media, and my goal is become just somebody give me the keys to Twitter and tweet for a professional basketball team.
Oh boy, good for you. I think
So,
you're making a great impact so far.
So I got one more question, and it's for both of you guys. Same thing I asked Coach Hickman. If you're talking to somebody that's not from Silver City, what's one thing they have to do before they leave?
Well, I don't know from a 65-year-old's perspective what Silver City offers, and what is here is much different than that. The 22-year-old that's going to be leaving. I think that, as Coach Hickman said, I mean, I think all you have to do is to get out. I mean, it is a very unique community, and I look at when we have parents here, or particularly grandparents here, they look and they see the awesome beauty that's around you. I mean, seriously, million acres up my street there of, untouched land. So I would say that if we're fortunate enough here on campus to have Jay Hemphill as our photographer here at the school, and this is a man that truly appreciates everything that Silver City has to offer. Just its natural beauty. Just go outside and explore, because there are things that you don't know, you just don't see out there in the world. Of course, the town is unique. It's very artsy, but there are towns like that as well. And the food culture is obviously very good. But that's my advice. I mean, it's my advice to kids. And people of your generation, you and Harry, sort of tend to do is be occupied by things in front of you as compared to getting out. So as long as the kids are out and active and doing different things, just living their life as an experience out of their room or out of your hotel room or wherever it is that however you're spending your time here in Silver City, then you're going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, I would first say Coach is right. You've got to get out and see it and immerse yourself, and you'll be surprised what you find. If you want a very quick list for anyone listening, food-wise, I would do a steak from Mix. I would do a burrito from La Cocina or Don Fidencio's. I would probably do a burger from, again, Mix or Adobe Springs. If you don't have to be an astronomer, I don't know anything about that, but look up in the sky at night, and there's very few places in the world with no light pollution, and you'll see just about everything that it'll blow your mind. It did for me. The Gila National Forest is wonderful. It'll make you feel really quite small, and it'll put things in perspective for you, but some of the sunrises and sunsets and the hikes out there, you've got to experience the hot springs as well. Just natural beauty, like Coach said, that you won't find in many other places. Outside of that, probably go to Morningstar and pick up a little bit of Mustang merch before you leave. You've got to make sure you're repping it wherever you are in the world. And well, I personally would say visit the golf course, because it's a cool little track. You'll have a lot of fun, make a lot of birdies, and they'll look after you well. So I'll say that.
All right, Harry, Coach Beatty, thank you for coming on today. You guys have definitely been a pleasure.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
The Mustangs, they'll be back in action this weekend as the football team will travel to Ellensburg, Washington to take on Central Washington University. Game is set for 7 p.m. Mountain Time and can be streamed, I believe, on the Lone Star Conference Network. Volleyball will be in action in Denton, Texas for the Conference Challenge Weekend at Texas Women's University. Their first game is at 12 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursday against Cameron University. Mustangs will also play later on Thursday against Texas Women's University at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Then on Friday against Midwestern State at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, and to round things out on Saturday at noon against Texas A&M International University, where, as you heard from Coach Beatty, the women's golf team is going to Amarillo for their first event of the season this Friday and Saturday. With that, I'd like to thank Coach Philip Vigil, Coach Kent Beatty, his graduate assistant Harry O'Callahan, and head softball coach Ashley Hickman for joining me, Jake Wetzel, today on Rawhide's Mob. Remember, this episode of Rawhide's Mob has been presented by Hatch State Line Toyota and Hatch Ford of Silver City. We'll be back next week for the 4th edition and some more exciting guests. Remember, #RareBreed.